I was telling the fellas I won't go over all of it, but I was watching on social media. This is Women in History Month. I know this is men's group, but a question was posed in the interview: what is the greatest thing you learned from a woman?
Hmm.
So I just encourage everybody, the important women in your lives, just kind of think about that, whether they still here or not. Just give them credit where credit is due. You
Oh,
like I
Yeah.
said, I won't repeat all what I already said, but a lot of it was prayer, being introduced to Christ, being taught to be confident that I can do anything and be accountable. And to lead with love. I tell y'all that all the time. I learned that from my wife, to lead with love and to be strong and be resilient. So
Yeah.
just a few of the things that I put on my list, but that's from my grandmother to my mom to my sister, my daughter, and all the other women along the way. I just encourage all you brothers just to think about what the women in our lives have done and the impact they've made.
Yeah, that's good, man. One of the things that I learned is being faithful to Christ.
Yeah.
And I learned most of that from my grandma, man.
Mm-hmm.
It came down to my mom and stuff like that, but I first learned that from my grandma, man. So being faithful, because he's faithful to us. And it's been so many times, man, that we've prayed for things and they might not have happened right when we wanted, but it things came through and they came through in our best interest. You know, they
Yeah.
came through when we could handle them
Yep.
versus when we wanted them, and that's a big difference when things happen just because you want them. Sometimes, man, you can't even handle it, you know, and you might mess it up. And we have messed it up, at least I have.
Yeah. We
Um,
all have.
so so definitely that, man.
Yeah. What's up, Ralph? What's going on, Brian Daniels? I see you,
What
Big
up,
J. Big
BD?
Brian. How y'all doing? TJ on the line.
What's going on, son?
Doing great, gentlemen.
Good, man. Where's Luca at?
He's at work. He works at Chick-fil-A in Hickory Flat, so he'll be there. Supposed to only work till 8, but they asked him to work till closing, so he's going to be there till 11.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Luca making that loan money. Tell him to let me hold
Yeah, let me
five
hold something,
dollars.
Luca.
Yeah, tell him to let me hold five
I got to
dollars.
tell you, he's a little spent. He's got his girlfriend, so he spends his money and ours for that matter. So he's actually going to. They're doing a prom this weekend, so say
Oh,
a
they
little
doing
prayer
prom
for
this
him.
weekend?
They're going out to the aquarium.
Okay.
So hopefully everything will be all good. He'll have
nice.
fun and come back
Oh
one
yeah,
Yeah,
piece.
they keeping it safe.
Yep.
He's
that's what's up.
responsible. Coach T knows him. He's responsible, but
Oh yeah, yeah. That's a real good kid, man. Raised right.
Mm-hmm.
yep, his mother does well.
Nah, and you, and you.
Yep, yep.
Yeah,
Take some credit, Ralph.
I
Hmm.
do. I always never think of myself first, like always.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
nothing
I
wrong
always
with that.
put I always put others first. That's why with this, that's why I didn't want to miss this call. Unfortunately, I probably do have to step away at about between 8 and 8:30, but I didn't want to
Okay.
miss the call because brotherhood is huge for me, especially when I didn't have anybody growing up. I didn't have the father. I didn't have the people, and the few people that I did have, unfortunately, um, kind of fell off the face. Kind of like Yeah, I got you. I'll be right there for you. I'll be right there. Never show up. So I know things happen, but when they happen multiple times, one or after another, you tend to realize that it's not meant to be. So instead of pushing, you just start existing and let it be.
Mm-hmm.
So I put my efforts in other things, and one of the big things is I put my efforts into this call and into these group of men, because these group
Good.
of men, you know what I mean? Again, the only one I've met so far is Coach T, because he invited me onto this and we discussed a few things about it. But I feel with a lot of you that I've known you for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, it's only been, a few weeks now.
Yeah.
Well, I see our speakers on, so
All right,
Rick, it's on you.
Dr. Antoine. All right, Rick, why don't you take it away and introduce Dr. Antoine for us, man? Thank you for being able to jump on tonight, Dr. Antoine.
Dr. Antoine Dwayne Alcorn.
Yeah.
Go all the way back to childhood for me, Phil, and Kevin that's on the call. Yeah. Kevin Long. But Dr. Antoine is a therapist. He's an author. Yes, he's a speaker, consultant. He's a mental health advocate. He owned a business called Thrive, which he's fully about individuals and community. So there to support, there to uplift, there to keep you moving forward, and I'm proud to call him a friend, a brother, to know him a lifetime and to see the growth that he has put into this work. As we all know, anybody at work that you put yourself into and you make it about others and not about yourself, God will turn around and reward you. And I can say my brother is blessed and he continue to be a blessing. So guys, welcome Dr. Alcorn.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Reverend
Good
Corn.
What's going on, Phil? How's it going, man?
All right, brother. Good to see you, man. Love you, brother.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me on tonight, being able to speak and share with you. As Rick stated, I'm a licensed mental health therapist here in the state of Arkansas, also licensed in the state of Wisconsin. I want to share with you on tonight from the topic of suffering in silence. Suffering in silence. So this is something that I have been traveling around the state of Arkansas doing these forums, trying to just get the word out of there, help to erase the stigma that's associated with Black men accessing mental health services, seeking therapy. So accessing mental health services does not mean that you are the C word. Sometimes we just need someone to kind of help us to process different challenges that we're facing in life. Someone that's non-biased, non-judgmental, that can help us to kind of work through things. And so wanted to talk to you tonight about suffering in silence. So in doing this work, what I've discovered that many men are dying emotionally long before they die of physical death, right? Many men are dying emotionally because society has conditioned us to suppress, to hold everything in. From the time that we entered into the earth, society conditioned us as men, as males, to suppress and to hold things in. We were taught and we heard things growing up about be strong, boys don't cry, handle it yourself. Nobody wants to hear your problems. Quit wearing your feelings on your sleeves. We've heard all of those types of things, and I think that has contributed to us just suppressing and holding things in over time. Not only that, but again, society has, in my opinion, criminalized everything about us and about the black male experience. Uh, and so, as a result, a lot of men are suffering in silence. And so, when we suppress and hold things in, silence is where that place where depression hides. It's that place where anxiety starts to grow. It's that place where the anger builds. That place where our relationships will start to fall apart. And then sometimes lives are lost. So I'm not sure if any of you are aware, but suicide among black males between the ages of 15 and 29 has surpassed that of our counterparts. So suicide now is the leading cause of death for black males 15 to 29. Uh, and so I wanted to reinforce on tonight that silence does not mean strength, right? Sometimes silence simply means that we're just suffering, and we're doing that. We're suffering in silence. So, why is this from a mental health perspective? Again, men have been conditioned to equate being vulnerable to being weak. And some of those common beliefs that we've held over the years is that, I have to figure this out alone, right? We don't want anyone to know that we're struggling or we're dealing with things. And so, we have that belief. I have to figure this out on my own. I'm a man. I have to take care of this. Can't let anyone see me weak. Uh, we hold this belief that if I talk about it, I'm going to look weak, or no one will understand. And then this is a really big one. A lot of times we feel I'm supposed to be the strong one. Right. I got to have it together at all times. And so instead of us expressing pain, we often express it through anger. So whenever I'm doing an assessment on a black male, a Hispanic male for depression, one of the first symptoms that I look for is being easily angered, being easily irritated, right? So for black males and Hispanic males, if those are two symptoms are present, uh, for me, sometimes it's a sure sign that there's some depression there. Uh, and that's because we're suppressing, we're holding things in. And so then we often express it through anger, isolation, uh, working all the time, right? Through addictions, emotional withdrawal, not being emotionally present. In our homes and with our children, with our spouses, with our significant others, and those are things that we have to look at and we have to consider. But an important reality, if any of you have any questions or anything, just if you'll raise your hand or put a comment in the comment section, I'll be glad to pause and to answer your question, or if you would like to offer a comment. So here's an important reality that we have to look at. Men are often least likely to seek counseling, yet they experience depression, anxiety, trauma, grief, just all the pressures that we face, right? But what we do is we mask it with performance, with silence, or control, right? So as men, we're very competitive, right? And very performative, right? So we masked a lot of this stuff through those avenues. And so we have to get to this place where we are increasing our emotional intelligence, right? So, and let me say this, emotional intelligence is not about being emotional. So anytime I say that word to a group of men, those words to a group of men, that's the first thing that they think. So emotional intelligence is not about being emotional. It's simply about understanding and managing your emotions in a healthy way. Um, when it comes to this emotional intelligence, even as a therapist, I am still learning how to be emotionally present. I'm writing my second book, and the title of my second book is Grown Sons, Growing Father, What My Adult Sons Have Taught Me About Fatherhood. And one of those principles that I have in this book is that my grown sons have taught me about emotional intelligence. So I realized that when they were growing up, I worked hard to provide. Uh, I was at their ball games. I was at every practice. I was right there with them. But what I realize now as an adult male, and all my sons are grown, is that I was not emotionally present. Right. So me and my sons have started having these conversations, right? So I was there, but they also needed me to show up emotionally for them. And so that's why it's important that we work to increase our emotional intelligence. So, four components of emotional intelligence. Number one is self awareness, right? That's just simply recognizing what you are feeling, right? Got to be in tune with yourself, recognizing what you're feeling. Number two is self regulation. We got to learn how to manage our emotions instead of exploding or suppressing them. Number three is empathy, that we have to understand the feelings of others. And then number four is the healthy connection, being able to communicate our emotions appropriately. Right? And as men, we were never taught emotional vocabulary. Right? Instead of saying that I'm overwhelmed, what we say, I'm good, right? Right. I'm good, right? And on the inside, we about to fall apart, right? Uh, we say it to each other. You good, man? Yeah, I'm good. Right. We were never taught emotional vocabulary, right? And so I was reading up when Rick sent me the link about your group and the purpose of this group and what you've been doing. And so I wanted to talk about use your acronym in this presentation, right? But before I get into that, I'm going to kind of pause right here to see if there's any questions or any comments.
Yeah, Dr. Antoine, I would say, what is one of the first things you would tell, one of your partners that has started to become isolated, that you've noticed kind of falling off? He ain't communicating as much. He's more trying to go on that side of being isolated.
Yeah, I would simply have a conversation with him and let him know what I'm observing. Just do a check-in. Hey, man, are you okay? Most of the times, what we say, yeah, I'm good. No, no, are you really okay? Right? Um, I would just do that, do a check-in with them and let them know, hey, I notice you're no longer yourself. So that's I always tell people, one of the sure signs that we may need to get some help is when we're no longer ourselves, right? That lack of motivation, loss of interest, isolating ourselves, pulling back. Yeah, so I would say just to have a conversation with them just to see what's going on and then offer support. Yeah.
Right on.
Any more questions or comments before?
Yeah, Wayne. I have a question. So my son, when he was in college, one of the matter of fact, was the team chaplain. Had a an accident and died. So in his situation, he felt uh, he wasn't going to commit suicide, but he did have those thoughts. Um, thank God he was able to, turn to the church and everything, and he was able to fight those demons. Um, what do you say, or what can we do when we see, these young men fighting that battle? Of course, because my thing was originally, not just toughen up, but hey man, you got to pray about it. And he said, Dad, I have prayed. You're not getting it. And actually, what we wound up doing is I found a therapist for him who was very helpful, but everyone doesn't have insurance, or and people of color. Our community don't always say, hey, go see a Dr. Alcorn. uh what do you recommend in situations like that?
Yeah. Again, active listening. One, we got to listen to these young people. Number
Yeah.
one, and then we have to create a safe space for them to be able to talk and not feel like they're going to be judged for what they're saying, right? And then just offering support. This is why I always accept these types of invitations with what you guys are doing. It starts with conversations, just by having conversations, so that another brother can know that whatever they're dealing with, it's okay, right? It is okay, and I say that to men all the time. Hey man, it's okay, right? So just offering that support, but again, we have to start creating safe places for young men to be able to talk and feel supported.
Big Mike.
Hey, Dr. Antoine, thank you for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. Man, you spitting some good stuff here, you know. But the question that I have is, and I'm gonna use myself as an example, and I'm gonna use a situation that just occurred with me. So, what if you know of a man who's good, and again, I'm using myself as an example, who's good at hiding it, his depression,
Yeah.
you know, and I think for me, I'm able to suppress it on the outside where people think, okay, hey, Big Mike, he good to go. You know, he always happy, he always positive and everything. But my backstory is that I'm battling right now the highest level of prostate cancer, and I'm taking a holistic approach to it. And with this approach, I'm putting everything herbal within my body that's supposed to fight cancer until my body just recently, this past weekend, broke down. But not just physically, but mentally. But mentally. You know, my wife is with me here every day. My daughter's here with me every day. They never saw this coming. They never saw no changes in me, you know. But Sunday, God said, give it to me right now. Literally. I've never been so out of control, even when I had my first nervous breakdown. This one was much worse. So what do you say to a man who's good at hiding?
So, and what you described is that high functioning depression, and so that's when we are still showing up with a smile. We're still leading. We're still providing. We are still encouraging others, while internally we may be carrying fear, exhaustion, and those other emotional weights that no one else sees, right? Uh, so it gets to the place where we're not just managing depression, but in your situation, not just managing the depression, but dealing with that diagnosis that you've been given, and that's a heavy load. Um, so for those individuals that hide it well, right now, what I do is, and I think what we should do as brothers, when you have a circle of friends, you're a part of a group, right? I encourage every man to really get to know one another, right? Of course, that's through conversation, but that's also through observation, right? So when we start really paying attention, I think we can notice some changes, right? In some ways, we can notice some changes
Right.
with that. Because when depression starts to set in, there's going to be a change in some type of way about us. Uh, and a lot of times, as you said, we mask that really well, right? Uh, and sometimes we don't pick up on it, but I always say, it has to, if we're communicating, observing, sometimes people may notice certain things, but they don't say anything,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or
Yeah.
they won't approach us for different reasons. Um, so observation and communication is that we have to pay attention to those, and I hope I answered your question.
Oh yeah. You definitely did, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Right, right. Anybody else got anything for
Hey
Doctor?
Doc, how you doing?
All right, go ahead, Brian.
Got a question for you, Doc. Just to piggyback off what Mike mentioned just a second ago, and just using me. Um, I've had those brothers in my network that identified me and my struggles, and I deny, and find every excuse not to accept the support when they reached out to me. They knew I was in a trouble space. They knew I was critical, and I found every excuse in the world to not be vulnerable, to the point where I got to my primary care, and to this day I can't even tell you what kind of test she gave me, but it was on a sheet of paper, and she said, I can really have you committed right now.
Mm.
How do you approach that?
Yeah, so she probably gave you the PHQ-9, the depression inventory, or also there's one, the CSSRS, uh, where she may have assessed you if you were having any suicidal ideations, right? It could have been one of those too. Um, but again, in those situations where we, as men, we don't like to feel vulnerable, right? Even when we are hurting and we're falling apart, we don't want anyone to know that, and sometimes it's hard to accept the help, right? Again, I tell men all the time is that we as men, we have to understand that the emotions that we're experiencing, the thoughts that we're having, it's okay. God created us with the capacity to think. He created us with the capacity to experience emotions, and he created us with the capacity to act, right? So whatever is going on, if we're overwhelmed, if we're stressed, if we're frustrated, as men, we have to know that it's okay, and there's no shame in that. We have to know that we're just having an emotional reaction to life. Life happens to all of us, right? And we have emotional reactions to life, and so we have to know that it's okay. So what I'm saying to you, sir, is that it's okay. It's okay that your brothers want to help you. It's okay what you are experiencing and what you're feeling, and you got to know that it's okay. There's no shame in that, and I think society just has not done a good job with helping us to understand emotion, something that God created us with, the ability to experience emotions, and He gave us emotions for a reason. And so, whatever we're feeling, it's okay. It's okay.
Man.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Doc, you breaking it down. You're really breaking it down, and
Yes, sir.
I think in so many ways, you're confirming uh, where we've been, where we're going, and a lot of things we trying to break by coming together and sharing and being open and being vulnerable with each other, uh, developing uh, deeper connection. Although we've been doing this call on Tuesdays and Thursdays, about 4 weeks ago, we got us a group meet, and the guys are getting in it to have that as a lifeline to at any given time you can connect with somebody. So I appreciate you just really confirming where we're trying to go.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, this is Kevin McCain. This is my first
Kevin.
time joining, and this is great information. Dr. Alcorn, do you have like a network of doctors maybe in the Alabama area? I have a friend whose son is in a university in Alabama and is going through some depression, and his parents live in a different state. I was wondering if you had any network of doctors that you know that maybe you can refer me to that I can share with them.
Yes, sir. So I'm a part of a group of Black male therapists that's all over the United States, but I'm going to type into the chat a website that you can go to.
Okay.
So
Oh, I see it. I see it. Psychology.
whatever city, state you're in, if you go to that website, put in your zip code, and you can do searches by uh, if you want a black male therapist, you can search that way. Right?
Okay.
You can put whatever in there you want that you're looking for in your area, and it will bring all of those up that's in your area by zip code.
Okay. Great. Thank you. And my second question, um, also have a prayer partner and I get with him on Friday, and what his brother-in-law just actually died, in his sleep, and what can he just trying to see what kind of words of encouragement that he can give his sons that this loss of father was unexpected. I mean, I know we pray with them, and we pray, we try to give them words of encouragement, but when their kids are just really going through because it's been a challenge for them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I would encourage him to do those check-ins, try to get the young man to talk about what he's feeling, uh, talk about his grief. Uh, that's one of the most effective ways to start moving through that grief process is being able to talk. So I would encourage him to do those check-ins and just offer that support. Hey, I'm here. Uh, I'm here if you want to talk, but trying to get him to talk, really.
Okay. All right. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
All right. Mr. Rick, how much time do I have left?
Plenty.
We got plenty of time. We got to 9 o'clock.
All right.
Yeah. You got
So,
Phil. Phil had one.
Phil,
okay.
got something?
Yeah. Quite often I hear people say they're introverts. And sometimes I feel that's just their way of hiding, kind of, as we said earlier, isolating themselves. Um, do you feel that's an accurate term, or am I kind of seeing it the right way? Sometimes they're just using that as a way to isolate themselves.
Yeah, so some individuals do use that because one, they're not comfortable around others. Sometimes they may feel that their social skills are not up to par as everyone else's, so they prefer to be by themselves. But some people use that also as a way to isolate themselves. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want to be judgmental or anything, but I wanted to at least have a, look at it from a more educated way of saying, okay, yeah, I'm saying it the right way, or that this is a possibility. Okay.
Right. So,
Thank you.
all right. So I will go through using your acronym with purpose, order, understanding, and responsibility. Uh, Kind of connecting this to the framework that you have, right? So P, purpose. So many men suffer in silence when they feel that they are losing their sense of purpose, right? Men, we are just purpose driven, right? We're competitors, right? But when we start to feel like we're losing our sense of purpose, we start to isolate ourselves. So it could be something like a job loss, financial stress. It could be family pressure, um, just different things that we're dealing with. Um, a lot of times, even in therapy sessions, men will say to me that, I just feel like I'm not providing enough, right? Uh, uh, some men will say, I just don't feel respected in my home. I don't feel I have a voice. I don't feel seen. I don't feel heard with everything that I'm doing to provide. I'm showing up every day. I'm going out in this world and I'm dealing with everything that I deal with as a man, right? And I come home and I just don't feel seen and heard even in my home, right? Uh, some men will talk to me about they feel like that they are failing their families. But all of that is connected or tied to our purpose as men. And so when our purpose is feel threatened, one of the first things that we do is we start to withdraw emotionally, right? Right. We're home, but we're not home. We're at the dinner table, but we're not at the dinner table, right? We are absent emotionally, right? And so true purpose, it includes emotional health. Uh, and let's just be real that as men, we cannot lead if we are collapsing internally. Right? We're not going to be fully present if we are collapsing internally. And so we have to look at that, our purpose is also connected to our emotional health. Right? Then the O for order. So when we talk about order, we talk about structure and discipline in life. Right. But emotional disorder can exist even when we appear to be outwardly successful. Right. I can look like I have it together, but internally I'm falling apart. Right. I can have financial order. My career can be on point. I can have physical discipline, but I can also have emotional, internal chaos while everything else looks like it's on par. Right?
Yeah.
So with healthy order, that's going to include our mental health, our emotional well-being, how we are processing things emotionally. It includes that spiritual connection, spiritual grounding, and then healthy relationships, right? And so again, love what you guys are doing where you are making connections within this group. And then the you with the understanding. This is real big for me, and I tell you, it was transformational for me when I really got this part down. Was the understanding includes self understanding, right? So questions that we have to ask ourselves is, what am I actually feeling? What's going on with me internally, right? What's driving this frustration? What's driving me feeling overwhelmed? What's driving this anger? What's driving this irritability, right? And another question we have to ask that we don't like to talk about as men is, what wounds am I carrying?
Yes.
Right? Or what pressure am I under? So many men, we understand business, we understand leadership, we understand strategy. But a lot of times we don't understand our own emotions.
Mm.
So understanding yourself is not a weakness, it's wisdom. Some years ago, I was uh, working with a young man. When he first started coming in to see me, he was 15. And he struggled a lot with just emotional regulation, emotional stuff. And so I just started working with him. One of the things that I've discovered over the last few years, which has really caused me to do a lot of things different, even with my adult sons and then with my grandsons, is that I started to understand a lot of those high school, elementary black males that was coming in for therapy. A lot of things were tied to their relationship with their dads.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even when dad was in the home, right? So just sitting in therapy and listening to these guys, it really made me start to do a lot of self-evaluation, right? So even as a therapist, I learned from my clients as I'm working with them. Uh, and I said all that to say that understanding yourself as a man is not weakness, is wisdom. And the reason why it's wisdom because it informs how we're going to interact with others, how we're interacting with our spouses, with our children, with our coworkers, with our church members, right? So it's important that we increase this awareness of ourselves. All right. And then responsibility. Right. Responsibility does not mean carrying everything alone. I'm gonna say that again, man. Responsibility does not mean that I have to carry everything alone. Re- Healthy responsibility includes one, taking responsibility for your mental health. Right. So we talk about, in church, we talk about being good stewards of what God has given us. And we talk about being good stewards over everything except for our mental health.
Truth.
Right. And I say this all the time. The body is only going to go where the mind takes it. So if I'm not taking care of my mind, right, the body is only going to go where the mind takes it. So we have to be good stewards over our mental health, right? And then we have to take responsibility for our healing. We have to seek support when we need it. Again, there's no shame in it. Hey, man, if we need help, we just need help. Right? And then with what you're doing with this group, being accountable to other men. We all need someone that we can talk to. We all need someone that we can run things by. Right. But in addition to that, we also need a brother that's going to be honest with us, right, and hold us accountable. So when we start to isolate, isolation is not responsibility. Isolation is often self-protection.
Mm.
So with what you're doing with this group, real men build brotherhood, which leads to responsibility. So what are some signs that we as men may be suffering? So men who are struggling often show, again, increased irritability. They often show emotional withdrawal. And here's a big one here: lack of motivation, loss of interest. Right? Just no longer motivated to do those things that used to bring you joy. right? Becoming over overly obsessed with working, right? The longer I stay at work, the less I'm in my head or less I have to deal with things. Another one is avoiding conversations, increased substance use, loss of joy, and then feeling disconnected. But we rarely say, hey man, I am not okay. I need to talk, right? So the power of brotherhood, men need safe spaces with other men, not spaces where we are being judged, we're being shamed, or we're being told to man up, but spaces where we can say, hey man, I'm struggling. Brother, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Man, I don't have all the answers. I don't know what to do in this situation. This is why conversations like this need to happen and groups like this need to be formed, right? Because what we start to do is we break the stigma and we break that culture of suffering and silence. Right? And as I'm getting ready to close, I got some reflection questions just for the group. My first question is this: when was the last time you honestly told another man you were struggling? I'm going to pause for answers.
I'll share. It was about, what was it, feel about 3.5 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in my garage, and we talk often. I'm sitting in my garage. Phil called me. Hey man, what's going on? Man, ain't doing nothing. Phil says to me, well, what you doing Wednesday? Yeah, well, you ain't doing nothing. You going to church with me? I was, well, I ain't got nothing going on. And I told him then, I said, Phil, I'm tired of doing things my way. I said, I've been doing everything my way, quick, fast, whatever the case may be. And I said, I get through it, may take longer. I said, but I've been doing everything my way. I want to do it his way. I want to do it his way, not my way. And I ended up going to, that's when we was doing man to man. I went, I think the next Wednesday or so, a couple Wednesdays later, Jay sat behind us for a couple of them. And Jay said, hey, man, y'all mind if I join you guys? And maybe a couple weeks later, circle around, Carl, who's on the call here, join in. And I can say, from that moment of being so open with Phil, led to the four of us being tight,
Yeah. Yeah.
very tight since then. It was things that started to take place. Pastor G would say, connect with the brothers around you. We had already did that, changed numbers and everything, was already following up with each other every day, praying for each other, checking in at each other, meeting with each other.